Speedway Tavern, come and have your say.
I love this sport. That can be so exciting, and I've done so from the very first time I saw it. And I honestly think that the racing is every bit as good as it used to be. In fact, oftentimes it's better. Now, I know that the rulebook is thick, in both senses of that word, and confusing and sometimes just plain balmy. But we're not alone in that. Winning a World Cup in the number of boundaries scored, for instance. But, and it is a big but, Speedway has failed to move with the times. For instance, social media means you can no longer keep your audience in the dark. We work things out. So Speedway has to become more honest in its communication with us. It's lifeblood, it's money. We're not idiots and we shouldn't be treated as such. Only in Speedway. Good evening, Taverners.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Sorry,
yeah. Well, you were certainly. I love that. We need to.
Copyright that.
Yeah. Well, we need to let the guys know where we got that from, because it wasn't our idea, was it?
No, it was, yeah.
Oh, was it?
Oh, yeah. No, it wasn't actually. Well, better take this.
So, are you going to name check for me?
It was, in fact, who said that was Jim Turrell.
Thank you, Jim. Very professional there.
Thank you.
Webber.
Yeah,
Thanks,
Jim.
You know me.
We've got a few things to talk about tonight. But first, a little apology for... We've sort of been saying that we're trying to get away from making it a Birmingham-centric and Wolverhampton-centric programme. But it's going to be a little bit Birmingham-centric tonight, of necessity, because we have Mr. Laurence Rogers coming on the show. Now, I've got to say this. There's been a few not so nice things said about Birmingham Speedway over the past week in the various forums. Some of it probably justified, would you say?
Possibly.
But some of it a bit personal that I don't think is justified. I've got to say a big shout to Mr. Rogers, to Laurence, because he, the minute I said, well, do you want to come on the show? He said yes. You can't say fairer than that.
That's the thing about Laurence. He does stick his head over the parapet, doesn't he? So
yeah, so nice one, Laurence. So you have any questions to give to him? We will certainly put them to him, although there are certain ones that we might not. But we'll see. Yeah, you know where
put your big spoon away there.
Yeah. So. But Laurence has never dodged any questions before, so I'm sure that won't be the case this time. But also, there's been a really good result for British Speedway, has there not?
It has indeed, yes.
The World Under-21 Championship.
Yeah, we sort of ran out of time really to talk about it last week, didn't we?
So, and, well, let's be honest, we'd forgot about it.
Yeah, we did forget about it.
Let's be honest.
You weren't supposed to say that. So you were told in the briefings.
Briefing? Sorry? It was too brief, obviously. Yeah,
that's why it's called a briefing. So. But congratulations to the Under-21s, of course. Second place in the
World Under-21 Championship.
World Under-21 Championship at Bellevue. Of course, British Speedway staging a world final. Fantastic. So
Robert Lambert scoring
20 of the 33 points. But
top scorer on the night.
Yeah,
when you look at those scores, if it had been a Speedway of Nations, we could well have won it.
Could well have done, yeah. So
just thought I'd throw that one in.
It's all experience, though, for a lot of these guys. I mean, Dan Bewley, he scored 11. I mean, he knows the Bellevue track like the back of his hand anyway. Drew Kemp 3. Carl Bickley didn't score from his 3 rides, including a tapes exclusion. And, of course, Leon Flint did have 1 ride as well. So, but it was always going to be difficult. Poland, obviously, the outstanding nation
But to beat nations like Denmark and Australia is not too shabby, is it?
Well, that's right. I mean, Denmark have obviously had a. In fairness, probably Denmark, you could say, is a little bit disappointing in the fact that they haven't really sort of produced the riders that have gone on to. I mean, I look at someone like Michael Jepsen Jensen when he first came over. I think massive things were expected of him, but he hasn't really lived up to the billing, if you like. But Denmark a great pedigree with young riders, and Australia, of course, have got some good young riders coming through as well. Of course, Jamin Lidsey rides for Bellevue, so he knew the track as well. But Poland, it was always going to be a tall order for.
Well, you got things like Schmeckthaler in there. I mean,
absolutely, yeah. So, but I mean, again, we got some great young riders coming through. Chris Van Straten said a couple of years ago that he felt that after Poland, we've probably got the next best young set of riders at the moment, and hopefully we can keep chipping away over the next few years, and some of these we can finally bring the gold medal back to the UK shores.
It would be nice. It's
been long overdue.
It's nice.
Yeah, it's long overdue as well. So.
It's nice to talk about something going right with the sport. That's something that finally.
Yep, that's right. Hopefully, of course, might happen this Saturday in the Speedway Nations final. Of course.
Yeah, we're up against it, aren't we?
We are up against it, obviously without tie, but
you never know.
You never know.
Never say never. There's quite a few comments coming up already on the shout box. If you can go back down a little bit, I'll see what we can pick out of this. There's awful lot of comments there, so we're obviously not going to be able to get through all of them.
Could you clue in?
I did spot that. So Duncan Pennington says, "Can we give everyone a clue who exactly Laurence is?" Do you know who he is?
I don't know.
I've heard his name.
He's the team manager at Birmingham Speedway. So yeah, and some of you will be aware of the team that Birmingham sent to Glasgow this week. We had to replace our number one rider, Adam Ellis, with a National League rider because Adam was unavailable for personal reasons, and a lot of people were speculating that those personal reasons were that he was riding in a grass track meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of that, whether that's true, whether that's not. I never found out. We'll probably put it to Laurence. So yeah. Okay, and can we just? There was something about a little bit further down. I think about Sheffield. I didn't.
Further up than the Sheffield.
Was it?
No, I didn't say anything about Sheffield.
I wasn't aware of this.
I think it's from Alan's comment. Was it Alan's comment there?
Yeah, it wasn't that one. Apparently, Gary May at Somerset was. I think this is what I read. So if I got it wrong, let me know. There we go.
There you go.
What about Somerset and Gary May telling his riders to pull up and touch the tapes because he said Sheffield track was unsafe? Thoughts? Well, first thing I have to say is that I don't know whether obviously I don't know.
That's the first time I've seen that. To be honest.
How true or not that is.
Yeah.
If it is true, it's not great.
It's not fantastic. It's not good for the paying public.
I mean, presumably they've made a protest about the track. The referees looked at it and said, "No, it's safe. You've got to go." As New Zealand cricketers will tell you, you've got to go with the rules and with the officials.
They have.
Cobber.
So that's poor form on your paying public as well, because that's running a heat without riders, so they don't get money back because heats have been run.
I must have been. I'm a little bit disappointed to.
If that's true,
this is true.
This is allegedly we need to put in there.
Graham Darlington said that's happened in many meetings in the past for various reasons and tactics.
Okay, so I am aware of situations. I know. All right, be very careful how I'm saying this now. I know last season that a rider, everybody in the crowd was saying should be replaced, wasn't replaced, and then the rider that they should have replaced touched the tapes. So that the rider that they wanted to be in was then in.
Yeah.
And they said, well, thank God, the team manager wasn't doing his job, but that happened. Well, I know for a fact that particular team manager engineered that situation. He needed more time for the rider to be put in because he was working on his bike. And so he instructed the other rider, well, go and touch the tapes and that'll give us extra time to get his bike. So it wasn't that he hadn't put it wasn't that he hadn't put him in, it was that he needed more time to be able to put him in. So things like that happen, and it's sort of within the rules, with perhaps not being in the spirit of the rules, but this is not cricket. I think how many times we're going to mention cricket tonight?
I love it. A serious one here. Yeah. Margaret is watching, drinking wine.
Well, I really didn't want to know that because that's just made me jealous. I'm drinking
Volvic water.
Alan, now you've mentioned that now, I might actually get a crate off them for that.
All right.
So
yeah. Alan says, total lack of professionalism on May's part.
Yeah,
it's one thing. It's one thing. I think the rider's making the decision, but I think for the team managers to make the decision is maybe
it's not a good precedent.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to keep saying, it is allegedly. We don't.
Because I'm sure I remember years ago. It might have been 89, I think, where Hans Nielsen. I think it might have been not long after Eric Gunson's accident at Bradford when I think Hans Nielsen rode for Oxford might have been at Bellevue, I think, and he pulled out of his last race to make a stand because he felt that the track wasn't safe.
I think that's fair
so it has
enough.
happened before.
No, I think that's fair enough. I mean, you look at. Okay, let's as I sometimes go. Let's have a look at Formula One.
Yeah.
And there's the case of 1970 something or other when Niki Lauda could have won the world championship and it was the last race, and of course he'd had that really bad accident.
Yeah.
And he just pulled out because he said, no, it's just too dangerous, I can't do it, and he lost the world championship, and Hunt got the world championship. That's fair enough, isn't it? It's nobody from Ferrari turned around and said, well, you've got to ride. If a rider doesn't feel confident in riding,
I think the infamous one is Indianapolis in 2005 when only 6 cars started, wasn't it? So
that was to do with tyres.
That was the tyres. I don't think they wanted an extra chicane or something, didn't they?
Well, they all started, but then they just went into the pits from the start.
It was a tremendous own goal, I think.
I'll just do a quick roll call while I've got all the names still here. Craig, Stephen, Dave, Stephen, Mark, Jeff, Jim, Anthony, Alan, Brian, Paul, Duncan, Graham, Jeff, I'm trying to find you, Margaret, Pauline, and loads of others. Richard. There we go.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for joining us. What we should do now is let you know how you can, well, obviously those people already know, but how you can actually take part in the show, and you can do that by.
Okay, so if you go onto Facebook and you search for UK Speedway Tavern, you'll find us on that page and on all other good pages and groups, and also you'll find us on www.
He's been waiting for this all day, isn't he?
SRB Radio.
Do you know the worst thing about it is he's actually wrote it down.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
He just adds a W at right.
There you go.
Okay, well, I think it's time to see if we can get hold of Laurence.
Okay, I'll go and do that while you.
And
Not literally, of course, just to point out. So
yeah.
So.
While he's doing that, shall we have a quick talk about the Speedway? Oh no, actually, I know what we'll do. Just don't give me your usual match report, but 45-45 last night at Wolverhampton against, was it Ipswich?
Yep.
Oh, it's not going well down at Wolverhampton, is it? At the
No,
moment?
it just seems like one step forward and then 2 steps back all the time. Really had a tremendous win against Swindon last week, and then that finally getting that away win at Peterborough, albeit against an under-strength Peterborough team last Thursday. But again, disappointing last night. Just not, again, same old story with Wolves, just not getting enough heat winners, and it's I think probably that dropping though that extra point last night might just have ended Wolves' chance of the playoffs now. They certainly couldn't have afforded to lose any more matches, and really 6 points up with 2 races to go.
Disappointing, isn't it? Because it looked like a promising start.
Start again, same old story really. Start well, but just don't win enough races, and the opposition just find a way back into the meeting. But credit to Ipswich though, because they did fight hard.
Was it a good meeting?
it was a good ending to the meeting. The first sort of 3/4 of the meeting weren't much to write about in terms of racing, but the scoreline I think kept it close, and the drama of Ipswich, if it all being on the last heat, and Ipswich getting the result they needed to get the 2 points. I think that probably more than made up for that, to be honest. But there was some good racing right towards the end of the meeting.
Right, as those of you who are watching on Facebook will see, I've got the obligatory headphones on,
Yeah.
which hopefully will mean that Laurence is on the other end of the phone. Are you there, Laurence?
I am.
Brilliant. Can you just turn him up in my phones, please? Right, how you doing, mate?
Not too bad.
You looking forward to tomorrow's meeting?
Very, very much so. Yeah, it'd be looking forward to even more if I had my full team, though.
Yeah, well, I was going to come to that. Obviously, Ash and Tero still not available. Have we got any sort of updates on when they might become available?
Ash has paid for an MRI scan this morning, so he can know exactly what's wrong with the wrist. It's taking so long. He's still got it all strapped up. He should have the results of that by Friday, so we can then see can he strap it up and ride or not. Tero goes to hospital tomorrow for more X-rays. He is aiming to try and ride a red car on Friday, so my fingers are crossed that our flying Finn can start flying.
It would be nice, wouldn't it? Because I think he had 2 matches for us, I think. 2 home matches,
yes.
Certainly. Yeah. So,
Yes.
yeah. I mean, the first thing we need to say is that luck seems to be following us around yet again this year after last year. I mean, we had the situation where Ash was riding so well and was going to go down to reserve. It would have, it was looking quite good at that point, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. Imagine how many points he would have scored at reserve because he was flying before the injury. Thanks to the pool track for that.
Well, yes. I mean, we spoke about that before, didn't we? So yeah. Do you think actually that's something that we need to look at a little bit more? The state of tracks in the country at the moment.
I think so. Probably, there is a problem over the shale. Getting hold of good shale. There may be a new supply that somebody's found, so that might help everybody. But yeah, everyone's having problems with their track. It's not down to one track. But having said that, I think Terry has done a tremendous job for us at Birmingham. It's looked better and better each week.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it was difficult last week, or 2 weeks ago, wasn't it? Because he did get quite dusty towards the end. Although the heat hasn't helped, I don't think so.
It did. Yeah, we put so much water into it. It was just drying as it was going down. So, Ollie, who's our maintenance man, is down there tonight flooding the track, so we get plenty of water in the base tonight. So fingers crossed that'll help us tomorrow.
Right, so I want to, if that's okay, I want to get onto some. You're obviously aware that there's been some criticism thrown in the direction of Birmingham and of yourself as well.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah. The personal ones, I'd love to know what I've done to upset these people, but never mind. Perhaps they'll come and talk to me properly. I have put a little bit in my programme notes tomorrow, funny enough, so that'll be interesting reading.
Right. So
but, the Glasgow situation was something we could not avoid.
Okay, so I mean, some of the criticisms that have been levelled have been to do with people travelling such a long way to Glasgow and then turning up and not knowing until quite late that the team was going to be where it was. Have you got an answer for that?
Well, we had to actually declare the team in enough time for Glasgow, so that was done a day or so before. We had a situation with Adam where, yes, he was riding the grass race on the Saturday, not on the Friday. On the Friday, he had a personal situation with his sponsors and family in France that we found out about quite recently. I then got in touch with Neil Vatcher at the SCB because looked at the rule book. It said that the only element I could bring in was a National League guest who was not in a Premiership or Championship 1 to 7, so that narrowed it down quite a lot. And it was Neil actually mentioned that last to me. It was on my list, and all credit to Matt. He came all the way up to Glasgow, and was on the pace at certain times. Didn't score any points, but did a job when we needed one.
Yeah. And obviously no blame of any description can be attached to him.
No, we're missing 3 of our top 4 riders. Was a hard thing to go to a track like Glasgow, who are flying.
Yeah, quite. Do you think there should be some perhaps a tweaking of that rule whereby, okay, if that's what has to happen, you can. It doesn't have to ride at number 1. You can have one of your better riders riding at number 1.
That perhaps is something to discuss in the AGM this year. Reka had the same problem. Eric Riss was missing on Friday night, and they had to have a National League an attached rider as well, which was Ben Rathbone.
Yeah.
So they were in a similar situation to us.
And I think, given what you said, it must be quite hurtful for people like Adam Ellis. I mean, we don't fully understand. We don't fully know. I beg your pardon. What his family situation is, and we don't want to know. I mean, that's personal. But there have sort of been accusations thrown against him about him not having enough commitment to Birmingham, because obviously James Shanes was in the same meeting and he arrived at Glasgow. So that must be quite a hurtful thing for him to have read.
James got somebody to come with him. We dropped him off at Birmingham Airport, and he flew out with his bike to by road. But that was for Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Friday situation was completely big bulk.
Yeah.
Adam couldn't suddenly say to these sponsors who put quite a bit of money into him, sorry, I'm not coming to this event you organised. To me that is personal reasons, and it was something he couldn't change.
Yeah.
He couldn't change. In hindsight, perhaps I should have asked that to change the date of the fixture. I didn't expect to be there 3 riders.
Okay, you're sort of the line's dropping out a little bit, so I might have to ask you to repeat some of the answers if we don't quite get them. But
okay,
we will stick with it. We'll keep going.
Okay.
Now, so I know that there was some criticism of some of your rider replacement options and so on. I think that's something that you're addressing in the programme, is it?
I've mentioned it. Somebody came and said, "Why didn't I hold Adam Ellis till heat 11 to meet Cook?" And why didn't I use Paco in a different one? The way I look at it is, where can I get a heat advantage out of rider replacement, and where can I possibly get a 3-all? And my element was to put Adam in early, put Paco in early,
mm-hmm.
and then look at the situation after that. But somebody did bring it up, and it's the way that I think is best.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, it's like being a football manager in a way, isn't it? Everybody knows the way that they would do it, and nobody agrees. You've got to go with the way that you can't do anything but go with the way that you think it should be.
Absolutely, same as reserve switches, etc. Sometimes you look and think, yeah, that might work, but that would make us weaker in another heat, maybe. I plan my program out before I even go to the away match. I've already got tomorrow night's printed off for myself to look to see where I think the riders will get me the most points and get the Brummies, hopefully in a winning situation.
I've got a couple of questions coming up on the shout box now. So Alan Norva wants to know why you didn't use a tactical sub at Glasgow.
Right, that was discussed between the riders as well. We didn't. In fairness to Matt Marson, I wanted to give him his 4 rides, having given up the time to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Kev Doolan and I talked about it, because Kev was at that time probably our highest scorer at the time. We were in agreement that it wasn't going to get us anywhere near. When the meeting was lost, it wasn't going to get us any nearer. It might have given us another point or 2 on the overall total, but in fairness to a lad who'd driven all the way from Ipswich, we didn't want to take him out of a ride.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing then is that it wasn't something that you wasn't aware of, that you wasn't prepared to do if there would have been a point, but you discussed it and made a decision.
Absolutely. So, if he were pulled us back into the meeting, naturally I would have done it as I would do it at any time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy, making decisions like I have to make. As I say, perhaps one or two of these people ought to come and, shadow me occasionally and see what happens.
Well, there's a sponsorship opportunity just there.
Exactly.
Ben T-Boy Clifton wants to know, he's got a sort of suggestion here. To make the meeting an attractive thing to watch, could teams not use a guest rider when there is no facility, but their points don't count to the team's score? Wouldn't affect the result, but gives 4 more entertaining races on the night.
Right.
You're going to have to
digest that.
Throwing a bit of a curveball there for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if their points don't count, surely that's going to not do the effect of replacing a rider that would have been there. I don't fully understand what he's aiming at.
Well, I suppose he means that you've got a National League rider riding at number 1. He's obviously not going to score any points unless a rider falls off. Of course, there is that. There is that. So he could have scored points there, and then those points would have been lost under that system. So he's basically saying, we could at least make the meeting more entertaining. But I don't know. What do you think, Matt?
Not sure about that one, to be honest, Ben.
Yeah.
I think I'll get to a point what he means. I mean, because ideally you want to see a team of 7 riders. You don't want to be, filling your program out with rider replacements all evening. You go just having guests, especially as guest riders influence the result that might adversely affect the team they're riding for. It just seems crazy, to be honest. But I think the guest and rider replacements and rider missing regulations have done value Speedway fans and promoters for years, haven't they? It's all a balancing act. Of trying to look at how to get around them.
Okay, so this is a question from me. Do you think, in hindsight, that maybe the information could have been gotten out to the public a little bit quicker?
Probably.
Yeah.
But that's beyond my control. I don't. I do my bit of it and pass it over. So it's down then to it hitting the system.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have access to do that, you see.
Okay. Well, that's you can't. That's can't say fairer than that, I guess. But yeah, so that's obviously something that Speedway as a whole then has to be looking at over in the close season. Do you think?
But possibly it's not just us. It probably affects most clubs.
The other, I have to say, I think unfair criticism that was being levelled is to do with the Eastbourne match. So that's we had a match at Eastbourne and that's been cancelled, I understand, by Eastbourne. Yeah,
because that's BSPA need the semi-final of the Championship Shield done by a certain date. And that's the only date that Eastbourne can fit it in. So I got an email as I was on the way to Glasgow on Friday telling me that we were there on August the 2nd.
So, to be absolutely clear then, there is absolutely nothing that you could have done, no protest that you could have made or anything to have changed that, even if you wanted to?
I doubt it very much because, at the fixture meeting at the start of the year, there were set dates where each competition had to reach certain levels for the semi-finals, finals, etc. And so Eastbourne naturally have probably lost a couple of meetings themselves. So, they've had to change their fixture list around. So it looks like that to get their semi-final in before the cut-off point, it's us that has to be moved. And, I know that some fans said that they booked themselves hotels, etc. I'm not sure how they book them. I normally book them so I can cancel it up to 24 hours before I get there.
Right. But so I mean, obviously, we can all understand if people have booked meetings that it's very frustrating. But in this case, there was, from the point of view of Birmingham Speedway, it was totally out of our hands. Out of our hands completely. We were just told. Yeah. We've got a question here from an old friend, Mark Robinson.
Good old Robbo.
But before I get you to answer this question, I got a question that's sort of pertinent to it. How many meetings has Adam actually missed for us so far this season?
It was the one where we had Charles Wright and last Friday.
So 2 meetings then.
2 meetings. So.
Yeah.
2 meetings.
Because his question is, why sign a rider who can only do half a season?
It's not half a season.
Well,
You know.
that's why I wanted to get my little
He
question.
only came in May. He's already signed for Grinstead in Denmark, and if they run a squad system, and he has to do X amount of meetings for them. And then under the rules, naturally, Monday and Thursday are protected for England, Tuesday for Sweden, Wednesday for Denmark. So if it's a Danish fixture, it has to take priority, and if he's pulled.
Moving towards the future, Lawrence, with the issue of rider availability, do you think British Speedway is starting to look towards moving towards squad systems like they have in Poland? Because it is frustrating turning up at meetings and finding that riders are missing. So
It is, but how are you going to keep them all happy? That's going to be the problem.
that's the problem, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, well, we
You
said
know,
that
if
last
you can only put 7 riders in. If you've got a squad of 8, 9 riders, a couple of them aren't going to be getting any meetings unless someone else is missing, and that's not affordable for a rider.
Tom, I would like to know a little bit about your career, because he says he doesn't know anything about your career. So how many seasons have you been a team manager, and how many league titles have you won? Have you got that to hand?
Well, the league title is. I'm sorry, but it's only the Middle Development League I've won with Coventry. So no, I haven't got that in my CV from there. But been involved at various tracks over for various years, and I think if I could remember them all, I'd go back.
I can't remember yesterday, so yeah. Yeah. Have we got any more there?
There's quite a few there, yeah.
Okay.
Can I answer one that Mr. Robinson's on about his blown cable?
Yeah.
Of course you can.
Yep.
That wasn't us. That was the stadium. We got an email off the stadium telling us the stadium could not be used because they had a power outage and power problems. That wasn't Birmingham Speedway. That was the stadium itself who told us, sorry, you can't run.
Yeah, I mean, Speedway's full of
Perceptions.
perception. Yeah, it is perception. Yeah. So, but it's nice to hear that.
Nothing to do with Area 51 then? No, nothing at all.
So, I'm not sure what Alan Atherton's going on about there. So, if you can perhaps elucidate.
He's talking about the squad system.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, right, okay. So, talking about the squad system, he's saying, I presume, to your comments about, how do you keep them all happy, is that they would have to compete in an agreed amount of meetings.
I still don't think. Yeah, it's a nice idea, but I don't think it would work for the riders.
Yeah, I think it's possibly something that might work in the top league if you want to get more of the foreign riders and GP riders and so on over. It might possibly work in that situation. But
because some of them would only want to do a few meetings.
Yeah.
The problem with the top league is that you'd have the squad would be bigger than the number of clubs in the league. So.
Friend of the show, Brian Buck, once you says, "Don't forget to mention your cycle speedway career, Laurence."
The good old Newport days, yeah. Welsh Junior Open champion once upon a time. Yeah.
And according to Derek Turner, you've also been an announcer.
I was, I spent a lot of time in the box at Cradley. Oops, I said that word to you.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I did Wolverhampton, I did Birmingham, Oxford, Ellesmere Port. Yeah, I spent a long time as an announcer before I progressed onwards. Is it onwards? Was he manager or was it the other way round?
Right, so we're getting some silly questions now, but here we go. Ask Laurence, if you could have anyone in your team, average, not relevant, who would you have? No respect to his current 7 or how many it is. That's a horrible question.
It is, yeah.
Greg Hancock can't ride in our league.
No.
I'd have Greg tomorrow, even at his age, mate.
Yeah. Well, we're
unbelievable.
not friends of Greg Hancock at Birmingham.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. I'm sure you were aware of that.
Don't forget, I have worked for the Americans for 15 years.
Of course,
as well,
yeah.
so,
Yeah.
I've got my American head on there for a second. This is going to upset Matt because this rider did his best to beat Wolverhampton last night, but Bomber always gives 120%. And again, I worked with Bomber in the Grand Prix for 3 years, and been involved with him. And he is, to me, Yeah, the rider gives 120% every time.
Yeah, I've got to say, Bomber he did ride very. Didn't have a great start, but towards the end of the meeting, he was excellent.
Yeah, even with a bad back as well.
Talking of Americans, are there any Americans on the horizon that would be worth looking at?
Yes, there are a few.
I'm guessing you might not. You're from the sound of it, you don't want to tip anybody's hand on that at the moment.
Not really, but there's some very good ones coming through the system, and some of them would like to come to the UK in the near future. Wool's got the pick of the bunch in Luke Becker. I saw Luke ride 3 years ago in America at Paris, and the first time I watched him, I went, "Wow!"
Yeah.
And last night watching him, some of his passing was unbelievable. He has a very, very bright future as the little missile.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've been really impressed with Luke so far. I think he's got the potential to be.
Well, I remember watching him in the first match at Birmingham, and after his first few, I bet you was thinking the same. I was thinking, ooh, they've got a bit of a dud there, haven't they? Yeah. And then all of a sudden he came out, and it was like, oh my life! Where did that come from?
He was weighing himself.
I was wondering whether it might be an idea to, when the tapes went up, to shout go, because his gating wasn't fantastic, but his gating has got a little bit better as he's had more experience of riding in the league.
It would have to, wouldn't it?
It's obviously not a premium in America to be a good gaiter because of the scratch system and things like that.
I just worry he's doing too much sometimes with all the leagues he's in, but that's up to him.
Right. We don't normally have you on for this long, Laurence, but everybody's firing questions in, so as long as you're happy to keep going, we'll keep going for a little bit longer.
No worry, mate.
Okay, so Sean Simo Simpson has asked, how about like other sports? I think I can guess what the answer is going to be to this, by the way. How about like other sports, club salary for each rider in the team rather than individual wages?
Where do you pitch it, and its affordability? That Birmingham, we run to a very strict budget. Like when I'm trying to book guest riders at the moment, they start talking telephone numbers, and I go, "Pardon?"
Yeah.
Salary, I'm not sure, because there are some riders who do get guarantees at the tracks they're at. I'm not sure if that would work. But good idea, Sean. And,
If you maybe back in the 1930s when Speedway had lots of money, but yeah.
Money? What's that? Oh, yeah.
Anthony Bailey says, Laurence will have a busy evening tomorrow. I would say he's going to be our key man if we are to succeed. Does he have a plan in your head to go by heat, some of the switches which have won us meetings this season?
I've already planned out what the plan A is, but plan A sometimes has to be changed to plan B and plan C. But I always go into a meeting with a plan.
Okay. I had a great question in my head and it's disappeared. Can anybody remember what the question was that I had in my head? It'll come to me.
Shake your head around.
Maybe it'll fall out if I do that. Adams needs to retain Becker for next season. Brendan Powis.
Yes, I think he will. If obviously with a little one, I would imagine he'll want to go. So.
That's more for us in general. I wish I could remember the question I just had in my head. Oh no, and it's gone again. I'll give it a shake. Anybody else got any questions? Well,
I think Mark Robinson wants us to answer all of his questions. Well, unfortunately, we can't answer all of the questions.
We don't answer all of anybody's questions. We do the best that...
It's not the Mark Robinson Show, unfortunately. There's another show for that, isn't there? It's called the Mark Robinson Show.
Okay, well, there you go. Oh, yes, it's come to me. Right, yes, okay. So there has been...
Before he goes again.
Absolutely. There's been a little bit of criticism to do with the replacements, particularly with the Nick Agercroft. And how do you pronounce that? Is it Agercroft or Agercroft?
Agatoft.
I was nowhere near it, was I?
Those who went to Glasgow would have seen him score 4, paid 6, and they were good earned points as well. So there is something in that kid, and it showed from the time we first looked at him at press and practice. We were keeping him for next year, but we may as well. We thought at the time we may as well blood him. He'll become ours, and long term. The kid's only 17.
Right. I mean that's where I was going to go with my question. Is that I think that probably a lot of your thinking there is about getting him to be an asset.
Mm-hmm.
So you sort of confirm that. What's Lawrence's feelings of one big league and no GP riders?
It's funny thing that was mentioned last night to me by someone at Wolverhampton. I can't see it working because it depends on the points level, the pay level. If we were in a situation of like at the start of the season of moving up, we couldn't afford to jump into the Championship League. There's no way we could pay those type of points money. So, and you've also got a shortage of riders. If you look at the riders who double up between the two leagues, how are we going to fill the teams?
Yeah, I think that this exactly.
That's the concern I would have with the one big league is are there going to be enough riders for a start? Because there's so much doubling up in between the two leagues now. So and you'd be able to have it if it was one big league. So
yeah, it would be tough, wouldn't it?
There wouldn't be enough riders if you multiply the number of clubs by the number of riders. There wouldn't be enough.
And I think also one of the concerns I would have is there's going to be a big difference. Yeah. The nature of Speedway means that there will be a big difference between the clubs at the top and the clubs at the bottom. And
I mean that was
it's going to make the clubs at the bottom struggle to make money.
That was why it failed when it was tried in the mid-90s, unfortunately. Yeah.
So.
Ask Laurence if Birmingham have spoken to Luke Becker in the last month. I said hello, I suppose.
I talk to him every Monday when I see him. But
because obviously you'll be aware that there was lots of speculation that we was going to be signing Luke Becker.
Well, I did make an inquiry, but I know with his other commitments, he didn't want to do Championship as well as Premiership.
Mm-hmm. So that's answered that one.
I would have loved him. I would have jumped at him naturally because having worked with him for the last couple of years, and he's a cracking little rider. I'd love to have had him, but unfortunately. He's doing Poland. He's doing some in Denmark. He's done some in Sweden.
Okay, so David Twine's got a question here. How about an Interleague Handicap Cup next season? It's been tried, though, hasn't it?
It was tried a few years ago. Yeah.
I think it's even more difficult to do that with the number of riders doubling up and doubling down.
Exactly. You'll have riders riding against themselves.
And Dave,
I've just finished for Erasmus, so instead I've got to run back to the pitch now and get changed.
Have a word with Brian Buck. I think you'll find that has actually happened. Yeah. Dave Twine, what about grading riders A, B, C, D, E like they do in Sweden?
Possibly. It was tried in the conference leagues. It was then a few years back, and it failed miserably at that level. But I don't know. I know they do it in Sweden. They do it in Denmark. You think, yeah.
I suppose the big problem about that is it comes down to opinion on who is graded A and who is graded B.
Exactly.
And that then leaves you out.
It was tried in the top flight in.
There's not an independent person who can do it.
So that leaves you open to accusations of
vested interests.
Yeah, which is Speedway's biggest problem, I would say. Not that they have vested interest, but there's that perception.
Yeah.
Can we have an even number of teams in the Premier and Championship? At least 10 teams in each league. I suppose you say yes. We'd love to do that, but
who's going to go up? Who's going to take on the extra expense? That's the element. Isn't it?
Well, we all know how much you guys sort of agonised over whether to come up or not this year. So. It would be a difficult decision for some teams, wouldn't it?
Totally.
Okay, Laurence, can I just say thank you very much for coming on the show? I think you knew that you was going to get a bit of a grilling tonight, but
I can take it.
Yeah, as soon as I asked, good man, you just said, "Yep, no problem." So really appreciate that.
No worry, mate. I just hope some of my little haters will like me a little bit more and come and talk to me and tell me why.
99% of them will.
I'm human. I'm nice, and I don't bite unless I'm have to.
Yeah, I'll vouch for that. So there you go. Okay, thanks very much, and good luck tomorrow, mate.
Cheers, mate.
I think it's going to be an interesting match.
Yeah, I need the fans behind the riders.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. You take care, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Mate.
Thanks again.
All right, see you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wow, that went on for a long time.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, sorry. I was
but-
trying to rush along because
Yeah.
we've got a bit to
We've,
get
we've
through.
got a
haven't
few.
we? Yeah.
We've got a few things to do, haven't we? So yeah, I've just been told off by Webby
I think he's
basically.
rushing through because he wants to see the league table.
Is that-
That's what I was trying to. That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? That's what
Well,
I'm talking
okay.
about.
Shall we just have a quick mention of the Speedway of Nations? Good luck, England.
Great Britain.
Great Britain as well, and them as well.
Yes.
Still got the cricket on my
Yeah.
mind. It's going to be a tough match.
It's
but
going to be a tall order.
It's not
out
out of the question, but
yeah.
we
It's
need
gonna be-
the wind
you're
blowing
obviously-
in the right
It's
direction.
obviously going to be a very partisan crowd with the Russians. They're going to be behind their orders. Of course, Emil Seifert going into it on the back of winning the last GP.
Yes.
Poland, they're going to be up for it. It's going to be there's going to be challenges from all over, but
Well, it'd be good to just put up a good show and give the fans something to.
it's for me. It's at the moment that tomorrow, Saturdays and Sundays is all about getting experience for these from the lads.
Okay, so we've got the. Are we going to be doing a draw for the T-shirt, by the way?
Yes, we are. Yeah, I've got
let's-
that ready.
yeah,
as
well, let's do
so-
that now then.
All right. Okay.
So hopefully you've all been sharing the stream. If you share the stream, you get put into the cup, and it's a proper tin cup. It's not one of those. It's not a mug. It's
Go on then.
Matt's turn. We'll pull you out, and whoever we pull out will get a T-shirt.
The winner is.
David McPherson.
David McPherson, well done. Send Webby your details and we will get that sent off to you. Okay, so now I'm looking at the league table and I can't believe it.
It's not pleasant.
It's not. It's,
Well,
where-
you're all right, come on.
They can't see.
well,
you.
I'm.
Hang on.
Yeah,
Hang on, so-
there we go. Okay, here we go. So, yeah. How is he doing it?
I don't know.
Is it
You know,
I
beginner's
don't
luck? Is
understand
it?
myself.
Beginner's luck. Is
He
it?
knows absolute. No, to be
No.
fair, we know absolutely nothing about Speedway, but
I know even less than that.
what Webby knows about
You mean
Speedway.
does he turn the Perry Power in a disguise or something?
But I said a couple of bummers last week and all. They couldn't have come true. Sure.
Well, you're still on top. 2 points in front of Paul PVL Racing with Ben Clifton in third, Duncan Pemberton fourth. Well, I was in third last week, wasn't I?
Yes.
I'm just going downhill all the time. I'm in fifth. Where are you?
I'm 11th.
Oh dear. Alan Atherton sixth, George Daniels seventh, Sean Simpson eighth, Simon Corbett ninth, Dave Twine 10th, and yourself at 11. You can all read. Poor David. Wow. David Dale.
I think Dingles took his ball home, isn't he? So,
I think you might, yeah. Who's that? Brian Book at 24. Wow.
I think he's only had the one go though.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's true. He was here last week. Okay, so we're going to do the National League this
we
week.
are indeed, yes. So the first one is on Friday, and that is Plymouth against Bellevue Colts.
Interesting. So we're going to go over to Webby for that one because he's leading the pack.
Sorry, what was it again?
Does it really matter? You're just going to pick up two numbers out of your head anyway.
Let's get the best.
He'll be right.
Plymouth versus Bellevue. National
I'm
League.
going to go for 4 points. I'm looking for reactions. Bellevue.
4 points to Bellevue. I'm going to go 2 points to 2 point win to Bellevue.
I'll go 8 points to Bellevue.
Points to Bellevue.
Yeah. They're not having the best of seasons.
I'm just going to stick close to Webber because he's. that's all I'm going to do for the rest of the night.
No, don't.
Right, the second one, there's only 3. So
Okay.
second one is Mildenhall against Leicester.
That's going to be quite a tasty meeting, I would think.
Yeah, Leicester haven't had that many meetings though, have they? So it's the.
They don't seem. Well, I'm going to go for a draw.
I'm going to go for Mildenhall to win by 40.
And Webby?
Mildenhall to win by 2.
Okay. And by the way, put your predictions up for these matches as well, and
Yeah,
we
we'll
will
get all
collate them. And I'll say we will. Matt will.
Matt will.
He's going to do all the hard work.
He's doing a lot of work, isn't he, this season?
About time, yeah. About
Done
time.
much, has he?
Yeah. He's looking a bit. He's a few more grey hairs there.
Right, the third one, there's 4 actually. The third one
Okay.
is.
So you can't even count.
I know, yeah. Is Bellevue against the Isle of Wight. That's on Monday.
It's down to thee.
Ooh, not that one.
It is.
I'll go Bellevue by 2.
Webby?
I'm going to go Bellevue by 6. You're going to go in the middle, aren't you?
No, I'm going to go Isle of Wight by 2.
Ooh, interesting one.
Not listening to me, are you?
Nope. I'm stupid, I know. I know that goes against all perceived wisdom.
And the last one is Kent against Stoke.
Oh, we should mention Stoke.
Yeah,
shouldn't we?
congratulations to Stoke. We'll
Yeah.
talk about that shortly. So
Yeah, won,
we've
the,
got 10 minutes.
won the National League Fours. It's up to you, Webber. Kent versus Stoke.
Kent, I'm going to go Kent by...
I'll go Kent by 6.
Kent by 6 was that?
Yep.
Okay. And I will go. I'm going to go Kent by 12. I think.
Derek's gone Kent by 10, Alan's gone draw, Simon's gone Kent by 4, Brian's gone Kent, Stoke's gone Kent by 4, Sean's gone Kent 8, and Kent win by 4 by Paul PVL.
It's interesting. It just shows we know, but nobody knows what they're talking about.
Well, nobody had a great week last week. I think Ben was the biggest winner. He had got 2 scores dead on, so
Right.
4. So
Wow.
Ben's moved up to 3rd now. So
Yes, yeah. Well done, Ben. Hate you. So,
I'll just show the top half. Cause
yeah, we should mention the National League Four, shouldn't we? A great win for Stoke.
yeah.
Some would say, not me by the way, but some would say that it's slightly belittled by home track advantage.
Mm-hmm. I'd love to know anybody who was there. Just putting some comments on, but from what I gathered, it was a pretty good event to be honest. Maybe not so much in terms of the racing, from what I've heard, but a lot of extra activities going on and a big crowd. So it's good. It's good to see as well. I mean, Stoke's people seem to have a bit of a downer about Stoke, but on its day, it's a fantastic racetrack. For me, it's one of the best tracks in the country. So.
Well, it has been one of the best. And it went through a period of being awful.
Yeah.
But it just seemed to. They seem to have got, and I'm glad that Stoke have got a big crowd. They need it, don't they?
Yeah, they do. So.
And they used to get, really good crowds.
I mean, they were dependent really on the matches against Birmingham and Cradley, weren't they? Or they have been dependent on those matches.
Yeah. So this is from Tom. Can Laurence give a shout of fan power news, or can you, G? I've given a shout. Perhaps you could give us some information about. Do you know about fan power news?
Fan power
I've not heard that.
So
Tom obviously knows more about him than me.
perhaps you could give us some information or a website or something, and we'll maybe do a piece about that next week. That would be good. Some of you may have seen at the top of the show a trailer for a film called Adventure Boys, Boys with a Z. Got the best speedway rider in the world, Michael Harris, riding there.
We're never going to hear the last of that.
No, we're not going to. No, sorry. It's a new film that's come out, and it features Speedway quite heavily. Filmed at Eastbourne, the Speedway bits, and that's coming out in July. So check it out, Adventure Boys. If we can, we'll see if we can get somebody to come and talk about the film. So.
We'll get Mark Harris to come and talk about it.
Yay! I've heard he costs too much.
Not the ugly one.
Oh, that was below the belt.
I know.
True though.
True.
So, okay. Well, I guess we should think about calling it a night, unless anybody's got any more comments that I need to look at.
I'll just go to Alan says, can tell you everyone I was stood with AM said the same amongst many more online.
Okay, we don't understand that, so perhaps you could, Alan, if you could, elucidate a little bit on that. I just like using the word elucidate.
I've done a lot of that in younger days. Okay, and somebody said regarding the fours that it was shocking.
Okay,
but the racing wasn't asking.
Okay.
Yeah, Alan says fours was the worst meeting I've seen in 40 years. The format.
It says, I presume Jeff Daniels is talking about that when he said it's back to awful and dangerous, at least 10 falls. That's sad to hear, because Stoke has been a great track. I remember Lee Compton racing around that place like a nutter. Him and Jason Lyons trading blows was always something to see.
Duncan says, anyone see the Josh Pickering 15-metre handicap at Newcastle?
No.
Is it on? Have they put it up on the British Speedway website?
There might be. Is there a YouTube about it? If you've got a link for that, just shove it up, and we'll put that out. That sounds interesting.
Since Terry's been doing the track, it's been excellent, Derek. No,
I wouldn't. Oh, is that the Stoke track? I presume he's talking about, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I had heard he had turned it around. Yeah.
And Derek says, none of the accidents were attributed to the track. Fact.
Okay.
Emphasised fact.
This is Speedway's big problem. Always has been. I think other sports suffer from it as well. But perception and if there's a vacuum, if there's no news about something,
It's bad news.
yeah, people make it up. I just do. I've probably been guilty of it myself before now. But
Either way, it was boring.
okay.
That's not me saying.
No.
Corey and Bridget Jikes.
Was that Jill?
Yet all crashes on the same bend.
Or crashes right. Okay, that's very often a pointer of something, but it doesn't have to be. Oh, it's sad. It's sad to hear that. But
Newcastle announcer said it was the best 4 laps he could remember, says Duncan Pemberton. Derek Turner said, also guys, no rider complained or as co-planned about the track.
It's Stoke, isn't it?
yeah. Did you see the meeting on Bellevue last night? I don't understand why tracks seem to be prepared differently for the televised meetings. Bellevue made their track slick for televised meeting the other week as well, when usually there's a grippy outside line. Wasn't there a threat of rain that night?
I think there was, yeah.
So that very often if there's a threat of rain, that rain, they'll pack it down.
Yeah, I've heard a few people say that the racing at Peterborough last night wasn't, which is a shame because Peterborough's
Always been a great track.
Peterborough Boilercats have had some tremendous racing this season.
But this is the problem, isn't it? It's very often you can have a situation where there's not good racing and then the track gets blamed. It might have just been that the riders out in front were so much faster than the riders behind, and there was nothing that they could do. I mean that happens, and in which case you don't get racing.
Yeah.
So it's not always. It's not always easy to see from outside what the track's like.
That's right.
So, and we had some great racing against Glasgow that we lost. The track wasn't that great, so due to the weather, as we mentioned before. So anyway, there you go. I'm guessing from that music, it's time to go, sir.
I think he's dropping in now.
Yeah, I think he is. Yeah,
Get lost.
He's going. We've seen the table. Go away. Yeah,
That's the most important bit.
yeah, of course. Thank you, everybody, for taking part in what's been another. Very fast show.
Yeah.
It just seems to have gone. And thanks once again to Laurence Rogers. And see you all next week. No more injuries.
Good night.
Good night.
Where